Good morning. Welcome to another couple of productive days in my life. Today is Monday, May 18th, and I am finally done with the semester. Well, sort of. Technically, grades are due this Thursday. However, graduation was last Friday, so at least I am currently done with teaching. So even though it is the beginning of a summer break, I still have quite a lot of things to do. First off, I still have grading. And then, of course, I still have all of my publications that I am working towards completing this summer. So before we get into everything, I do want to let you know what I am working on today. I have on my schedule that I will be spending an hour working on my novel. And just to give you a quick update, I have officially started draft 7. And I started draft 7 a little over a week ago. And to let you know how many words I deleted in draft 6, I deleted 12,362 words. I am very proud of myself. So my hope for draft 7 is to delete at least another 8,000 words. Now that I've started draft 7, I have deleted 837 words, and that's from chapters 1 and 2. So I feel like if I am able to keep up that momentum, then I should be around the 90,000 word mark by the time I am done completing my 7th draft, which is actually what I want. I am trying to get this book down past 100,000. And so I think I can do it if I am just as particular as I have been going through these first 2 chapters in the 7th draft. And for those of you who may be new to the channel, welcome, hello. I am currently working on a contemporary YA novel. When I finished the last draft, or the last draft, I guess that was draft 5, I ended up writing over 120,000 words. I am an overwriter. It is my tragic flaw. And so now in the rest of the editing that I am doing, I am hoping to get the draft of this novel below 90,000. So that way I can start querying this novel, hopefully sometime in July or August. Other than working on my novel for an hour, I do have 30 minutes on my schedule for reading. I am going to start, actually, let me get the book for you. The beginning of my summer reading will begin with One Big Open Sky by Lisa Klein Ransom. This book has been on my TBR for quite some time. It was actually due at the library like a week ago. I did renew it so that way I am able to read it hopefully over the next 2 weeks, and then I can return it. It is a middle grade novel, and it is also historical fiction. So I will definitely give you a wrap up when I do my What I Read This Year wrap up. I think I'm going to end up doing it later on this year as opposed to this summer, because I have not been able to keep up with my reading because I have done so much writing. The other thing I will be working on is a conference paper. I gave myself 2 hours to be working on this conference paper. I am presenting at the Children's Literature Association conference at the end of the month, and I have not started putting together my presentation. I have started writing my research paper, but I do want to go ahead and start putting the words and the visuals together. So I gave myself 2 hours to be working on that today. I will be presenting at the conference for the first time ever, and I'm also going to be presenting for the first time my work on Korean children's libraries. And so I did that research in the summer of 2023 and again in the summer of 2025. And so I'm excited to sort of kind of start moving forward with some of the research that I have been doing in Korea. And if you are interested, I will leave the playlist of some of the work that I was doing in Korea down in the description box below. Then I gave myself 2 to 3 hours of grading. I feel like I'm going to start with 2 and see if I can move to 3. Obviously, grading is a mentally exhausting activity, and so I at least need to do 2 hours of grading, but depending on how I'm feeling after the second hour, I am going to break that time up into 1-hour grading sprints. And then so after the second hour, I will take into account how I'm feeling. After grading, I have given myself 30 minutes of Korean, 30 minutes of admin, and an hour workout. And if all of these numbers are correct, then I have about 8.5 hours of tasks to get done. So it is definitely going to be a long day. And since it is still before 9 o'clock, I say let's get started with our first hour of writing. So after my writing sprint, I went ahead and made myself some breakfast. I eat oatmeal just about every morning. I like to put some vanilla protein powder along with almond milk, and then I give that a nice quick stir. And then I go ahead and add my oats. I add about a half a cup of oats, and then I also like to add about a tablespoon of chia seeds to give it a nice texture. And then alongside that, I'll add a little dollop of agave, as well as a handful or 2 or 3 of frozen blueberries. I give that a quick stir until it simmers for a little bit, and then that's it. Voila, that is my oatmeal topped with nuts, strawberries, coconut flakes, and hemp seeds. So I am on to my next task, which is reading, but I want to give you a quick update on my writing session. So I did go back and reread chapter 2 before moving into chapter 3, and I was able to delete another 10 words in chapter 2, and then I was able to delete 27 words in chapter 3. And since I went back to chapter 2 before moving on to chapter 3, that did cut into my hour. So I didn't end up completing the deletion of words in chapter 3, but that's completely okay because that is the first thing that I will start off with during my writing time for tomorrow. So either way, I am proud of myself that I was able to delete a significant amount of words again in chapter 2 and then moving that process on into chapter 3. And so now let's get to my 30 minutes of reading. So I am back at my desk now after reading for 30 minutes, and I have to say One Big Open Sky is a very emotionally raw text. It actually follows 3 points of view, the daughter, the mother, and the teacher. I only made it to page 30. What page did I make it to? I made it to page 32. And so right now I am only being told through the story or through the voice of the daughter, Letty, and the mother, Sylvia. And this book is taking place in 1879 in Mississippi, and it is of a family who was essentially moving from the south, from Mississippi to Nebraska. So they are taking the Oregon Trail. And of course, I've learned about the Oregon Trail in school many, many years ago. But this is my first time reading about a Black family who is on the Oregon Trail. And so it is very emotionally raw as they decide to move their family from the community that they have grown up in and love and try to move out west to find better opportunities and also to find land. So now that I am done reading, there are a couple of options that I have. I do need to get some admin done, which I don't think I listed on my list of things to do today. So I can do some admin, I can also grade, I can also work on my conference paper, I can also do Korean. I could work out, but it's noon and that's not going to happen just yet. So what I am actually going to do now that I look at my list, which is not on my list, is to post a photo of one big open sky on Instagram and LinkedIn. Even though I had started it today, I forgot that I need to add that as one of my social media tasks. So since that is such an easy task and I am overwhelmed thinking about all of the other long-term tasks that I need to get done today, let's go ahead and post that I am currently reading One Big Open Sky. So I've just taken a few photos of the book cover. And I'm going to find one and then I will post it on Instagram as well as LinkedIn. And let me set my timer. Hopefully this doesn't take me any more than 15 minutes. Now that I got that really easy task done, it is currently 12:20. I am going to force myself to do a hard task, and that is grading. So that will take me to 1:20, and I feel like that would be a really great time to stop for lunch. So let's do the hard task now, knowing that I will have my lunch break afterwards. So I will see you in an hour after I am done grading. Good afternoon. It is, let's see, 2:58 p.m. I graded for an hour. I also ate lunch and I have been sitting on the floor for about 10 minutes, stretching out my hips since I have been sitting in my chair all day. So I still have quite a few things left to do. I still need to do some admin. I did get a few emails in since this morning. I also need to study Korean. I have to do my 2 hours of working on my conference presentation. I have to do at least another hour of grading, 2 if I can mentally handle it. And was there anything else? Oh, I also have to work out. And since I am behind schedule, I am going to stop filming myself for today, and I will catch you up with what I was able to accomplish for the rest of this afternoon tomorrow. So I will see you tomorrow morning. Hello, it is the next day. It is not the morning. It is very much the afternoon. It is currently 4:37 p.m. and I have been working. I just have not been recording myself working, but let me catch you up on what I completed yesterday and what I have completed this day so far. For yesterday, I can't remember all that I did, but let me just recap my full day. I spent an hour working on my novel. I spent an hour working on my conference paper. I think I was supposed to spend 2, but I was just way too tired after my workout to spend 2 hours on my conference paper, but I did spend an hour, which I think is great progress. You saw that I did my 30 minutes of reading yesterday. I ended up spending 45 minutes editing. I spent 15 minutes working on posting about the book that I was reading, which is One Big Open Sky. And then I spent 30 minutes doing some editing on this blog so that I could get some of the clips off of my phone and onto my computer. I did study Korean for 30 minutes, and then I ended up only grading for an hour. I know that I was supposed to grade for between 2 to 3 hours, but that unfortunately just didn't happen. I was too overwhelmed to keep grading, and I am not good at grading when I'm overwhelmed. And then I also have on my list that I spent 60 minutes doing admin. So the total for the day, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5, 6. I did 6 hours and 45 minutes of tasks yesterday, which is phenomenal. So great, especially for a Monday. And of course, that doesn't include any breaks. That is me working straight for, or not straight, but completely for 6 hours and 45 minutes. So let me tell you what I have accomplished this morning so far. I did work an hour on my novel. I also graded already for 2 hours because I did need to make up for yesterday. I do want to try to get in another hour. At least that is my hope before the end of today. I did about 45 minutes of admin already. I haven't done my reading. I haven't worked on my research paper, and I haven't studied Korean. So those are the main things that I need to work through the rest of the afternoon. Again, 4:40. I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to get done. I think what I'm going to do now, because I still have some energy, is to go ahead and get that 3rd hour of grading in now, especially since grades are due on Thursday. That way, if I get that extra hour, then I can spend tomorrow morning finishing grading and then having everything in by Thursday morning. Grades aren't due until 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, so that'll give me a little bit of buffer time. I also forgot that I had a 45-minute Zoom meeting too, so that was one of the other things that took up my time this morning. So with that, I think I deserve a screen break. So even though I really should jump back into grading, I am going to give myself a little bit of a break and read for 30 minutes, and then we will come back and do some more grading. So I finished my reading. Now I read about 33 pages, and the story is getting so good. I mean, it definitely is a story that I'm sure is going to make me cry at some point, but the lyricism is just really, really lovely, and I am intrigued by where the story's going. I mean, I don't imagine that there won't be some serious heartbreaking issues. Again, their family, 1800s, on the Oregon Trail, heading towards what they believe will be freedom. And yeah, it's just really heartbreaking, but it's also just really lovely. And I'm excited that I'm reading it, but I'm nervous that there is only more heartbreak to come. So that is not helping me want to move into grading. So what I'm going to do now is do my half hour of Korean study, and then I'll either break for dinner after this, but what I will most likely end up doing is doing that hour of grading and then stopping for my dinner break. So for Korean study today, I will be doing day 42 from the My First 50 Words Korean Book 1 by Talk to Me in Korean. I have been working through this book for over a year now. Let's actually see when I did the first lesson. Yes, so I did the first lesson on July 21st, 2025. I go through these lessons periodically. I do have a rotation of lessons that I like to go through. Of course, you're supposed to do the book, within 40, 50 days. Let's see when I was supposed to see how many days there are of this book. There are 50 days of this book, and by the end of the book, you're supposed to know all of these 500 words. But again, because I like to use different lessons on different days, and I like to keep my lessons varied, this is just one of the workbooks that I work through, or I should say one of the kinds of lessons that I like to use in order to help enhance or advance my Korean. Okay, so this is my terrible first draft. I just try to get out everything that I know. And even though I know some of the spelling is incorrect and perhaps also some of my script and some of my translation is incorrect, I just like to try to get out a terrible first draft, and then I go over it again before moving on to the pronunciation stage. Good afternoon. It is Friday, May 22nd, and today is the first official day of my summer break. Grades were due yesterday, so today begins my summer of research. I want to catch you up on what I have accomplished this week so far, because I stopped recording on Tuesday because I had to lock in, but I'm going to fill you in with what I have been able to accomplish today and recap what I have been able to do this week. So this morning I spent 2 hours working on my novel. I also spent 60 minutes working on editing this vlog. I still have 2 hours allocated to working on my conference presentation. I also have 30 minutes of reading that I need to do, along with 30 minutes of studying Korean. And then I have my 1 hour of working out. But I'm not going to take you for that because this vlog is getting way too long. So let me go ahead and recap what I have been able to do thus far throughout the week. I spent 7 hours and 15 minutes editing my novel. I also spent 6 hours editing and filming this vlog. I spent 2 hours working on my conference presentation. I spent 90 minutes studying Korean, an hour reading One Big Open Sky, 4 hours working out, 6 hours of grading, and 4 hours of admin. So I have gotten a lot done this week, but thank you so much for spending the week with me, for keeping me accountable. And if you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next video.